Well, hello. So this week's discussion is going to focus on the Southern economy. As the question asks, why did the South's economy expand so spectacularly between 1840 and 1860? So what we need to focus on is looking at that question only during that time period, 1840 to 1860. So anything you write before that or after that is like an introduction or like an epilogue and doesn't count towards the requirements of answering the question. Now, unlike previously discussions that require 2 paragraphs, this is really going to require 3 because there's 3 major reasons. First and foremost, reason number 1, why the economy expanded spectacularly, King Cotton. By the way, King Cotton is capitalized. So, cotton is going to surpass all the other products in the South that were being produced agriculturally, and especially the lower South. Why was cotton expanded so rapidly? Well, it's due to one reason only, Eli Whitney's cotton engine, or what he called cotton gin, also capitalized. When Whitney was visiting the southern states, he noticed that it took a long amount of time for each slave to take the cotton ball to separate the seeds from the cotton. He started thinking, there's got to be an easier way of doing this. So he invents the cotton engine. Now, this was a simplified engine in which the cotton was dumped into the hopper, and one slave would start cranking the machine, and this thing had little teeth on a wheel, and this would tear the cotton and separate the seeds from the cotton. Now, one slave can do the work for 50. Where are the other 49 slaves going to go? They're going to go out in the field. This gives us to point 2, the demand for slaves and land. Now, there's going to be a forced movement of 1 million slaves to the lower South. Why is that? Well, first and foremost, the United States had banned international slave trade in 1808. So the only way they could get more slaves legally was within the United States. And as slavery was starting to die out in the northern states and even the upper southern states, upper South as it is called, is not really having a greater demand for slaves, those owners of those slaves did not want to lose the profit of their slaves. Now, you have to understand, slaves were very profitable. They would cost anywhere, using U.S. dollars today, between $25,000 to $100,000 per slave. So they are going to be forcibly moved to the lower South. Land is also very cheap in the South. So there's going to open up cotton fields in places like Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. Later, there looks like there'll be a greater demand for growing cotton further west in places like Louisiana and then to Texas. So that was the second point, the demand for more slaves, which are going to produce more cotton since cotton is so labor intensive, and demand for cheaper land. The third important point is demand itself from Great Britain and France. Now that cotton has been made very cheaply, there's going to be a demand from the mills of textiles in Great Britain specifically, and France, and a little bit of New England. So now southern states are focusing on the growing of cotton. This creates a trade between Great Britain and the lower southern states, as well as France and the lower southern states as well. This leads the southern populace, and especially the politicians, believe that the British cannot survive without King Cotton. This is reinforced in the Panic of 1857, a depression in which all the rest of the United States felt the hit of this depression, but not those southern states. This is going to lead them to believe in the future, and which we'll see 3 years after 1857, that the first southern states to secede from the Union, that will begin the American Civil War, are going to come from those cotton-producing states. Now, as usual, you could always send me your discussion before 4 p.m. Thursday. I'll critique it and get it back to you so you can earn a higher grade. Once you submit it to the discussion post, you're telling me it's ready to be graded. So let's have a good week.